Viewable on the game-changing play. Also, whether baseball's hosing the Cubs and Rockies by having them play tonight, washing your contact lens with your mouth,
Yeah.
and an NBA investigation so damning it needs to come with a warning before it. We're going to show you later. I can't even do it now. I can't. I can't. It's shattering my childhood. Let's go around the horn. Oh. That play. Kobe's no flinch. What you see and what reality may be.
The show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
The fourth quarter drives and the lefty throw and the second and 30 conversion is all Mahomes. But first, on the clock. Here's Brandon Marshall. Quote, the ref told us the guy was supposed to be watching the clock, just missed it. So maybe he got caught up in watching the game because it was a good game, but you got your job to do. Come on, that was huge, that was big. It was huge, it was big, and it was unreviewable by league rule. How robbed were the Broncos, Tim Kalisha?
It's pretty damaging, and if you look at that picture you just showed, there's an official staring straight at the zero, and I don't know exactly what he's looking at. Now, we all watch games, and since they've got the play clock down and the score, it's real close a lot. They get right around the zero. This was almost a full count, or at least a half count after. I mean, I think everybody saw this one. It doesn't change the fact that the Broncos let him gain 35 yards on the play, but realistically, it should have been a penalty. It should have been a 3rd and 12 instead of a 3rd and 7. A little tougher for Mahomes, and, you know, we don't know where the game goes for there. So it's a bad break for Denver.
Do you think Denver could protest the game? You know, we see this in other sports.
No,
protest the game, and nothing ever happens. Okay.
No, it's not even as bad as, you know, a catch that gets overturned or you get a first down and they overturn that in Oakland. Those things are a lot worse. This was just a bad break.
KB?
One of the first things you learn if you play the game of tackle football is you play to the whistle. There was no whistle. Don't be paying attention to the clock. Play the game. And you know what? That was one of his 13 completions out of 16 attempts in the fourth quarter, 2 of which went for touchdowns. So don't take anything away from Patrick Mahomes and what he was able to do in the fourth quarter against that defense with all those guys breathing down his neck. It had nothing to do with it.
We won't take anything away from Pat Mahomes. Frank Isola, how about you?
Yeah, go talk to the Cleveland Browns about bad calls costing you a game. Here's the thing, as Kevin was saying, who's to say that Pat Mahomes doesn't complete a 3rd and 12 pass away? And then, you know what? They would have gone for it on 4th down. He probably completes that pass. But I would do this if I were the NFL, maybe take a page out of the NBA's book. When it gets down to 3-2-1, maybe change the color of the light so it catches the referee's attention. They review everything in the NFL. Why wouldn't something like this get reviewed? I understand the Broncos being upset. They have a right to, but they also should have stopped.
So Frank thinks change the color of the light or maybe have a horn. Why not go around the horn? I like where you're going, Frank. Jackie, how about you?
Around the horn. Listen, I think they should just make it so it's a reviewable play. How about that? That would solve everything in this particular case. But when you look at this game, it's impossible for me to say that this play was the one that changed everything, that turned the game in from a win to a loss for the Denver Broncos. If they want to be upset, they can be upset about the clock, but they should also be upset that their defense couldn't get off the field against one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the game right now. And if the referees got caught up in the excitement of Mahomes, I don't blame them. I got caught up in the excitement of it. I'm watching the game at home thinking, yeah, so what if the clock went, boy, that was a great throw.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're not a Bronco and you're not a Bronco fan. Well, let's talk about Mahomes for a second, Jackie. Numbers weren't the same, but are you going to say last night maybe in some ways was more impressive than those first 3 games where he was setting records?
I am going to say that because he was under pressure. It was his first ever fourth quarter comeback for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're throwing it left-handed. You're throwing it down the field. You're under pressure the entire time. I think it was really an electric performance, and it's just so exciting to finally see these young quarterbacks claim their stake, because I think the NFL really needs guys like Mahomes to really step up and be great.
Frank Isola?
You know you make your bones in the NFL with fourth quarter comebacks, and to do it on the road. And what you love about Pat Mahomes, his ability to improvise, very much like Aaron Rodgers, very much like Brett Favre. I remember Doug Flutie way back when in his Heisman year at Boston College making similar type of plays. Those are winning plays. That guy right now, it's amazing. Only 4 weeks in, has become the star of the NFL.
Doug Flutie is who you compared him to.
I did that for Jackie. I did that for Jackie.
Okay, because they don't really look like each other when they're on the field. Kevin Blackiston, how about you?
Yeah, he's become must-watch TV, and you know, on Monday Night Football, what a performance you saw. And that left-handed pass that he made, apparently he practices that from time to time. So he was prepared for the opportunity, and who's bearing down on him? No other than the Pro Bowl defensive player Von Miller, and he's still able to make that completion for a crucial first down to keep the chains moving. So I really like the way Mahomes plays.
He said.
Yeah, Von Miller and Chubb were in the backfield all night, and that's, you know, it looked like one of those games, okay, it's finally not going to happen for the kid. He's up against too much here. They're not blocking these great pass rushers, and he just got outside it and made the plays.
Last thing on the Broncos' last play of the game. They ran the hook and ladder. You all right with that play with, you know, that much time left? It was 10, 12 seconds when they flipped it, and they had no timeouts left, Kalisha?
Yeah, because it's very, you know, if it's executed properly, he may score going down the sidelines, but at the very least, he's going to be able to run out of bounds and get the yardage. Sutton was right around the first down mark. I mean, it's a long shot. I like the play.
And one thing, just a slight correction to something you said, Jackie. It was his first fourth-quarter comeback. He actually did have a fourth-quarter comeback Week 17 last year. That was in his first career start. So, no number 2 for him. We'll move on. Le'Veon Bell saying he's coming back to the Steelers Week 7, just in time for the bye week. Then he'll be good to go for the back half of the season. He wants to play with his team. He wants to sign long-term with Pittsburgh. Do you believe him, Frank? And if that's the case, can all be well with Pittsburgh and maybe they get back to being who they think they are?
You know, Le'Veon Bell's been talking about how he's kept himself in shape. He's ready to go right now. The fact that he's not going to play now, and you look at their offense, they need him. That team needs something because they've been really flat. This tells me that maybe Le'Veon Bell and his agent are trying to do something to force a trade. If you're ready, why aren't you back now? What are you telling your teammates who, by the way, came out and criticized you a few weeks ago? There's something not right with this story.
Jackie McMullen?
You're right. There's something not right with it. But you know how you fix it? He shows back up. He starts rushing for 100 yards and mowing down people like he's always done because he's one of the best. Right. But even if he does it Week 7, the reason that Pittsburgh's in trouble has so much to do with Le'Veon Bell. It was unfair for the kind of pressure they put on Connor to expect him to step in and to perform in the same way that he has. And you've been in a ton of locker rooms, and so have I. Players come back. He says to them, hey, man, here's what was going on behind the scenes. And they're like, it's okay, brother. Let's go. Let's win some football games.
Okay,
That's just how
all right.
it goes.
Although, would you say that the way the Steelers reacted in the last week of the preseason was maybe different than other teams in the past? They really seem to call out Bell more than some teams we've heard in recent history, Jackie.
I do think that the best thing for both parties is for both of them to move on from each other. But you know how it goes in the NFL. It's pretty difficult to pull off a trade of this magnitude and get equal value back. It just doesn't happen.
I think this is actually a good thing because the hardest thing about Bell's situation, whether you're a teammate or a Steelers fan, is just not knowing what exactly is in his mind. Is he going to stay out 10, 11 games? And now at least there's a date. If this is what he's going to do, he's going to miss 2 more games. Steelers split those. They'll be 2-3-1. They'll still be alive. And you feel like he can come in and help. The hardest thing is just not knowing week to week. Is he going to be on a jet ski or is he going to play?
Okay, so you think knowing that he's still going to take off a few more weeks and then come back is enough for you? Frank doesn't agree with that. KB, do you?
Absolutely. I understand what Le'Veon Bell is doing. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. He plays the position that is the most vulnerable in the National Football League. And he knows he's playing the long game right now. And that is he wants to stretch out the touches that he's going to have in this league if he's going to make more cheddar. He doesn't want to go out like DeMarco Murray and get chewed up by one team in one season like the Cowboys did with him. He's trying to lengthen his career here, and this is the only way to do it. And I'll tell you what, everything will be good in Pittsburgh because the last 3 games, they've averaged like 43 yards on the ground. 43 yards. That's worst in the league for Pittsburgh Steelers the last 3 weeks of this football season. That's horrible.
You said DeMarco Murray. Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples of running backs, but the real example he doesn't want to come back at is Earl Thomas. And that it can be true regardless of when he comes back, whether it's Week 7 or if he pushes it to the limit of his contract or he doesn't come back at all this year. I mean, that's the thing. You can get hurt in any game, and your future, if you don't have a long-term contract, it would be up in the air. We're going to move on, talk some baseball now. Rockies, Cubs, tonight. Kyle Freeland on 3 days rest for Colorado. John Lester for Chicago. That they're playing one night after playing the divisional tiebreaker while the A's and Yankees just hang out for another day off. Is that fair, Tim? Is baseball starting their postseason in a just way?
I don't know about the unfairness. I thought it was unnecessary. I mean, after 162 games, if you don't have a tiebreaker to decide things like, who wins a division when you're tied, you played each other 19 times, you're both in the playoffs. I wouldn't want somebody to get kicked out of the playoffs, but that wasn't the case. You watched those games yesterday, and the losers were like, all right, so we got to go do this now. There wasn't any urgency to those games, and I think that's the biggest issue.
So Tim makes the argument that the tiebreaker game, the all-for-one for the division, wasn't necessary this year because both teams were making the playoffs. Blackistone, you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. And, I've been a proponent of getting rid of this thing anyway. I mean, I just don't see how you can play this long grind of a season where the cream eventually rises to the top, and then you go and say, oh, you know what? We're just going to have one game to eliminate a team from the rest of the postseason. It's never seemed fair, and I don't know why baseball doesn't change. In fact, if they change it, they're likely to make more money, more ticket sales, more money from television and all of that. I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, so you think the wild card game is unfair because it's one game, and you thought this year the teams playing back-to-back days specifically is unfair. Frank, you agree with that?
If you don't have a wild card game, the Red Sox are running away with the division. You want to have that game, keeps other teams involved. It is for the fans. And I understand Colorado is a team that is really getting the short end of the stick. You're in L.A. one night. The next night, you have to be in Chicago to play another elimination game. But guess what? Most of the fans don't care about your travel inconvenience. I know that's something sports writers care about, players care about, but I don't think the average fan does. Play the game. It'll be a great game tonight.
Rockies in 3 different time zones in the last 3 days. Jackie Mack, how about you?
Right, but if the Rockies wanted to take care of that, then they should have won the game. If they had won the game, then they wouldn't have to worry about that. If they had won the division, they wouldn't have had to worry about this either. So you always control your own destiny by how you perform on the field. I like the wild card. I know purists don't. I like the idea of a one-game winner-take-all. I think it makes sports much more exciting. I understand that baseball purists don't go for that. But I am about it. And this is a very, very unusual situation.
It is unusual, but you're saying you control your own destiny, but you're controlling that destiny with not as full a roster, let's say, because of the pitchers you've had to use in past days, or not as full a team, not your best shot at controlling your destiny. I think that's what some people have a problem with. All right, I need some picks here. And we just said, the Rockies are playing 3 games in 3 different time zones. Cubs are at home tonight. Who you got, Jackie?
John Lester, got to take the Cubs.
Isola?
I got Lester going 7 because the Cubs bullpen is spent. The Cubs will win.
Blackstone?
Cubs.
Calico?
Colorado Rockies, better lineup.
All right,
better,
one for the Rockies.
Bullpen. Give me Colorado.
Yeah, I know. Isola said Cubs because of their bullpen. I was like, I don't know about that one. All right, taking a break right here. Buy or sell on the other side.
Lester's going to pitch longer.
Oh, okay, that's the point. Good point.
Buy or sell.
Biggest news in the world of sport right now, and somehow still not being talked about enough, I volunteer. Cristiano Ronaldo accused of rape. 2009. There was a reported $375,000 settlement at the time. There is now, per a report in the German newspaper Der Spiegel, a challenging of that settlement and a release of the statements taken at the time, including Ronaldo's, and most significantly, the Las Vegas police reopening an investigation without mentioning Ronaldo by name. Ronaldo calls it fake news on social media, said they want to be famous. His representation threatening suit against Der Spiegel. How should soccer fans in this current club, Juve, and Nike, for which he has a lifetime contract, and EA, consider all this, Tim?
I don't blame anyone for, fighting charges and dealing with what has now kind of become a presumption of guilt. I don't think fake news, saying that in videos is the way to go, especially if there's a document that explains what happened. And I also think about Nike, trying to be on the right side of the Colin Kaepernick issue, and now one of their, leading faces could be on the wrong side of the biggest issue of our time.
Kevin Blackistone?
I think we should all just wait and see what the investigation finds. We know that something happened because there was some sort of non-disclosure agreement between 2 parties. And if the Las Vegas police believe that there is good reason to investigate, they should do so. If they find reason to charge, they should do so. If they find reason to have to bring the greatest soccer player in the world to this country to face the charges, then they should do as well.
Frank Isola?
We're talking about the biggest star. Forget about this just in soccer, but probably in every sport worldwide. He played for 3 of the biggest clubs, Manchester United, Real Madrid. He now plays for Juventus, and I understand these are serious charges, and we have no idea. Do they take the Me Too movement as seriously over in Europe as they may in the United States? I'm not so sure about that. I have no way of knowing, but as you know, both Kevin and Tim pointed out, let the investigation play out. And here's the thing with Ronaldo. He has come out and said it was consensual. You just wonder about the time frame, how that could factor into it, and the fact that there was an agreement and a payout as well.
But you're saying you were wondering as far as public reaction.
Exactly, because I just don't know how this will be received in places like Portugal, where he's a legend, Spain, he's still a legend, and now he's seen as a savior in Italy.
Jackie McMullen?
I think you do know how it'll be seen in those places, the way it's always seen until there's some presumption of guilt. We don't want to believe our sports heroes do bad things. This has been going on for as long as I've been covering sports. It's hard for people to see people they admire in any other light than as the hero wearing their hometown jersey. So let's find out about this investigation. There's already some disturbing things in this article that was done in the German paper, including this woman alleging that when she reported her alleged sexual assault to her nurse, she told her not to go there because people think you're extorting money. She reported to police. They told her the same thing. I don't know if those things are true, but if they are, they're equally as disturbing as the rest of this. So let's just take some time and look into this and then make a judgment after that.
Thanks for your thoughts. We'll move on. NBA news of the day, and this is a little bit lighter, but as broken by Trey Kirby and Worldwide Wob, broken being the operative word because it's potentially breaking one of the great moments in history, Kobe's no flinch on Matt Barnes. The overhead camera, again, a warning if you don't want your childhood shattered. Overhead camera, Kobe's swaying, as he said, and perhaps the ball was not directly in front of his face. To the side, KB, do you think differently of reality now?
Absolutely. I do not think different of reality now. Kobe Bryant has no reason to flinch, and he did not flinch, and then Matt Barnes got in his face. And you know who Matt Barnes is. This is a guy who drove 95 miles in an off-season one day just to go confront Derek Fisher and try and punch him in the face. So, of course, I'm not changing my opinion about
Frank
it.
Isola?
That camera angle shows me nothing. All it says is that the ball was stuck towards the right side of his face. I mean, give me a break. Kobe Bryant did not flinch, and Matt Barnes was trying to get him to flinch. What is this, the Zapruder film of the NBA? Stop.
Jackie McMullen?
This is just the funniest topic ever.
Yeah.
You know what I do wonder? How many times did Matt Barnes look in the mirror and say, you know what, someday I'm going to throw the ball in a big star's face and hope he doesn't flinch? And how many mornings do you think Kobe got up and said, you know what, I'm going to practice not flinching because someone someday might actually try to throw this ball in my face? My goodness.
Tim Kalishaw.
I'm still on Team Kobe on this one, but it is going to be more of a glancing blow than we realized. It's going to go.
Oh, stop it.
It's going to catch him, and you know, it's not going to do the damage straight into the nose where you break your nose and you sneeze for 20 minutes. You hate when a basketball.
I appreciate three-quarters of this panel, not Jackie, but three-quarters of this panel with the philosophy of it's not a lie if you believe it. Kalishaw, McMullen, say goodbye right now. Kevin Blackstone, Frank Isola.
From the overhead camera.
Blackstone, Isola, good luck in showdown. The U.S. Ryder Cup autopsy. You ready? Golf Digest reporting Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka had to be physically separated. Patrick Reed is Patrick Reeding all over the place. As successful as I am in the cup, I don't think it's smart to say me twice. An anonymous source just opening up on him. He has no clue how to play team golf. He's full of bleep. 11 guys understood the concept of team golf. One didn't. KB, whose side are you on here?
Oh, come on. I'm on Patrick Reed's team for this one. They don't call the guy Captain America for nothing. He is extremely successful, as he pointed out, in the Ryder Cup, in the President Cups. You got to defer to him on this.
I will say this about Patrick Reed. At least he put his name on something. But when it comes to this, I'm on Team Europe because we come across like the typical ugly Americans every time we lose this tournament, whether it's Phil Mickelson getting on Tom Watson, now this nonsense.
Look at Frank here. Doesn't like the way the country's going. He's about to move overseas. Incredible, yeah.
Right next to George Clooney.
Showdown 2.
I was definitely at that time. Like, I'm a big conspiracy theorist. You can't tell me anything. Right. So yeah, I'm sorry about all that. You know, for all the science teachers, everybody coming up to me like, I gotta reteach my whole curriculum. I'm sorry.
Frank, is that Kyrie acknowledging he was wrong, admitting he was trolling, or sorry but not sorrying, and he still believes the Earth's flat?
I think this is Kyrie Irving saying, I'm a great player. I'm also a very smart guy. I don't like the fact that people think that I'm a bit of a flake. That's why he went there this time. to clarify.
All I wanted to hear him say was, you know what, I've read the science, and now I admit the world is not flat, it's absolutely round. Come on, what are you talking about? Having this guy on a talk show talking about the world still being flat?
He's trolling. That's what he's doing here. We'll move on. Showdown 3. Ron Baker getting ready to put his contact lens back in his eye. Sucking on the lens to...
Absolutely horrible. Don't they have some of that squirt stuff you're supposed to use to clean them off? That's why I wear real glasses.
That's
Not
Anthony
those kind of
Gallinaga, the
poke your
Knicks
eye out
equipment
lenses.
guy, trainer right there. By the way, I thought your mouth has more germs in it than any part of your body. Why would you put that in there? Nasty. Ron Baker, fan of the show, though.
Flagstone, you're not fooling any of us. We know you don't have lenses in those glasses. You did a very artful job stopping your hand right before you got to it. Point, Frank Isola.
Oh, man, the concept of the big three in the NBA, I get it. Parrish, Bird, McHale, LeBron, with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Joel Embiid was asked last night if they have a big three in Philadelphia. That would be Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Markelle Fultz. He played 14 games. Don't you have to do something to be a big three? I'll give you an example. The big three, as everyone knows on Around the Horn, is myself, Jackie, and Tony. We've actually accomplished something. How about we allow Markelle Fultz to do something, then we'll put him in a big three as well.
Shots over, College Show.
You're welcome, Jackie.
There was a big three
Frank,
from
you're
Fultz
burned.
yesterday. Did you guys see
I'll
his
be
new
fair.
form?